Hello, starting today with Saturn through houses, and I'm going to just do this generic video. The first one will be all about what is Saturn really all about. So Saturn is one of the most important planets in Vedic astrology, in the sense that it deals at our karma. So wherever Saturn is, it's basically where we're paying our karma to the world in our natal chart. Obviously, do always bear in mind that despite the fact that you're born with a certain placements, but actually every dashas are planetary periods which are very unique to Vedic astrology. Your chart changes, even though the underlying thing is your D1 or your natal chart, but really is on top of it during those years that that particular planet is ruling your life. You're doing more, you can read your chart from there, so this could change according to that. But this, obviously we know that the natal chart is literally the flavor of what we are. But I'm sure we all see that we definitely change every year when we are younger, and every decade or so we change dramatically as well as we work through our karmas. And some karmas, we work through and basically it's done, so it doesn't mean that we're going to be repeating those issues again and again. This is one of the most important things as well to know, is that for Saturn is very strong in the 7th house, because it's planet of community, other people, marriage, commitment. Therefore, if you have a difficult issues, difficult Saturn in your chart, it's really good to work on. I mean, if you have got a strong Venus, then that's fine. And also, if you've got strong Jupiter, that's very good too. But Venus and Saturn, really, they rule all the most important houses in the chart, which is 2nd house and 7th house of Venus, and 10th and 11th house of the natural zodiac are ruled by Saturn. So Saturn for us is the planet, we always look at it from Aries Ascendant. It rules 10th house of career, karma and status, and 11th house, which is house of gains, and house of elder sibling. So it's a wealth and work. For Venus is 2nd house of family, savings, values, self-love, and 7th house of relationships and working with the others. So when they get together, this is how relationships are built, basically, because if you've got a good Venus and good Saturn, you really work at it. And so if you're finding that in your chart, your Saturn is very strong and it holds you back, or it's very weak, when it's very weak, like a debilitated Saturn, it's really, particularly in the 1st or 7th house, it can be quite difficult, because the person only ever sees the lack. They can give up on things before even start it. Therefore, it's quite good to work on Saturn. Saturn is literally hard work, putting your back into it and getting results. And the moment you do it with Saturn never ever denies you anything, but it wants you to deliver, and it wants you to be consistent and persistent. So let's go through some of the things to do with Saturn. Saturn is monotony. It's routine. Responsibility is our duty, commitment, fear, worry, seriousness, actually having lack, feeling the lack for anything. Maturity, reliability is humanitarian. It's unhappiness, discipline. It likes fairness, really, in everything. Wherever it sits in our chart, that part of our life, we're always very hard on ourselves. And it's rules it's dry and it's stressful. It rules kind of laws of the land. Sometimes even the unspoken laws will be to do with Saturn. It's like planet of humbleness and integrity, really. It's rules and regulations. It's respected, respect and respecting others, basically. It's always seeing what is not done. So you could have a list, and person who's got a good Venus, they think, okay, I had 10 things on my list. I did 2. Excellent. I now deserve a cup of tea. And they go and treat themselves, and there's no guilt attached. Well, it's very different for Saturn. Saturn is always guilt-driven. So therefore, it's like, even if they did 2 jobs and they were massively busy and there were big jobs to do in a day, they is still hard on themselves that they didn't do the other 8. So their view of life is very much like glass half empty. But they are loyal, hardworking. As I said, they love a routine. They like everything to be just so. Steadfast. They that term, talk the talk, walk the walk. They probably even don't even talk, but they certainly walk the walk, because they're not really having Saturn on your first house. It kind of limits everything. It can, wherever it's sitting, it kind of contracts that. It also rules elderly people, sick or disabled people. It's longevity. It's also death, delays, isolation, community, and above everything else is service. So these are all the indications of Saturn. So what we do now, we'll go through and do it through the houses. Saturn is friendly with Venus, very good friends with Venus, and also with Mercury. And it also does pretty well with Ketu, but it's definitely not friendly with the Sun or the Moon, or even Mars, although Mars is neutral with Saturn. And Rahu as well. Rahu, Saturn are not good together either. So this is how you can see. So you can see that Saturn is going to do really well in own sign, rules Capricorn, and rules Motricona sign, which is like the head office sign. It's very strong. Is in the 11th house of the natural zodiac, which is house of kind of groups, networks, likes to be with other people and actually contributing to everything. And it's exalted in Libra and debilitated in Mars. Exalted in the sign of other people, marriage, committing, working with other people, and diplomacy. But sign of Aries, which is all about me, myself, and I, is not happy there, because obviously it's a sign of me being singular, and also sign of Mars, which is an enemy to it considers Mars as an enemy. And so we just want to kind of like, this is one of those things that when you have a weak Saturn in your chart, you really it's very hard to get a grip of life, and things for people will be seriously delayed, and people, like mothers and fathers, could start worrying about the child because they just feel as though they are not really grasping things in life and solidifying anything. And also it can make the child very worryful as well. So I find that when Saturn is in your first house, in your 7th house, it's your Atmakarka, or is sitting with your Ascendant Lord, the child, everything for the child will be delayed. They'll be more stressed than normal. They'll be very dutiful. They always worry. They have this fear. So as a mother, it's very important to just like have compassion for them, because these children are real humanitarian. If they are really looked after and nurtured, so they can actually there's that trust thing going on, then you do well and they do well too. And so don't literally, be aware that they are not sometimes, it could be that, I'm not saying this every person, it depends on the chart, but don't they feel the pain of anything, because obviously they feel as though if they didn't do very well in a test, or you know, they didn't do a job to the way their parents wanted to, they carry this terrible guilt, and they feel as though they let you and the family down, so they already suffer with a lot of guilt anyway. So it's really good when we are kind of, even with, if you have a partner who has like, or you know, children, siblings, friends and everything else, we just got to realize, you know, that's where they're coming from. It's really, really important. So anyway, let's talk about the Saturn through signs, through houses. Thank you. Saturn has special aspects. It's obviously where it's sitting. It always, like all other planet aspects, 7 houses away. It also has special aspects, which is 3rd house and 10 houses away. The house that it's actually 3 houses away, but you always count so if it was in the 1st house, so you count 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So 3rd house will be where you'll be putting the effort in. So 3rd house is away from where it's sitting, and then 10 houses away from it, which is where you're paying karma to the world for from Saturn's viewpoint. So it's not necessarily you know, for some people who've got like Saturn in the 5th house, is, you know, 10 houses from that is not going to be necessarily your work one, but nonetheless though, it's something that you're paying karma on the world too. Okay, let's make a start on this. Saturn in the 10th house, obviously this is quite a strong position in the sense that it's an angle, and this is also being natural in the natural zodiac. This will be Capricorn, so it's like has got that connotation of Saturn being in own sign. And remember that this is going to be feeling like Capricorn obviously is going to be the underlying flavor of this house, no matter what sign your 10th house is. So this is going to make the person it's a slightly difficult sign, because it makes the person you really have to put a lot of effort into this. And obviously now you've got double Saturn, so you've got like Saturn sitting there and the connotation of Capricorn being the underlying effect of this. Saturn is also one of the karakas or significators for the 10th house, and therefore it's not going to be hugely easy. Sun and Mercury are also the other significators for the 10th house. So 10th house is going to be like your house of karma, what you pay back to the world. It's your career and your status. It's right opposite the 4th house, so it gives you a flavour of your father, how you see your father. So having your dad there, you know, flavour of your dad. So you know your dad is going to be quite strict, maybe like quite aloof, unavailable, hardworking, that sort of person. And so let's have a look. So from there also, Saturn is going to, by the 3rd aspect, it's going to be aspecting the 12th house. And right opposite, obviously, 4th house, and also the 10th aspect of it is the 7th house. So you know straight away that from the 10th house aspect in the 7th house, by the 10th aspect, they really do worry about, and they're anxious about how other people see them. So their public image, as in terms of their family, marriage, that kind of thing, is very important to them, because it's an aspect in the 4th house of family, their private life, and the 7th house. So they want to provide a good image, you know. If obviously Saturn is in good condition and is a good planet for you, it's a friendly sign, own sign, that kind of thing, it's going to be great. Otherwise, it can be a little bit difficult in the sense that they obviously, you know, this is going to be somebody whose work, his career is going to take off very, very slowly. And they're not going to, they'll always be working. They're going to be these workaholics, put a lot of effort into their work. And so it just means that they could be, in a sense, even overlook that work for a bit at the beginning, because they're going to be this consistent, reliable, conscientious member of staff who's always there, tidies up all the loose ends for other people and gets zero recognition, and nobody notices it because they're just in the background doing the jobs. And obviously, as time goes by, they get the success. This will give you success anyway because it's Saturn, and Saturn gives success eventually. But it will be difficult in a sense that it dries up the house of So they do the job not necessarily because it's always give them lots of pleasure, unless obviously it's in a Venus sign, particularly Libra, not so much Taurus. But generally speaking, it is going to be slightly difficult, and you can see that the home life is going to be dry. That dad is going, because it's aspect in the fourth house, so the upbringing has been very much to do with doing the right thing, being dutiful, because they care about their public image. Saturn in the 10th house, they want to do the right thing for the community. So, and obviously 7th house as well, because it's 10th from 10th. So again, although it gives them all these, the success and everything, it does put a lot of strain on the family home and on the marriage. It's also, so let's have a look at each of those on their own. So it's aspecting 3 houses away. So this is, they put in effort into, so they might be working even behind the scenes. When they finish work, when they're sleeping, they're still working. So it doesn't give them any peace. They can't actually rejuvenate so well because they're constantly thinking, they're asleep, and then all of a sudden they could wake up and think, I didn't do this, I didn't finish this. They're always worrying about, did I complete that, did I finish that? And they could also, because of that, they could constantly be fighting enemies at work, because it's a secret house. And so they have no, they really got to put an effort into getting that, because this is also house of peace, house of sleep, house of dreams, it's a creative house, and it's also house of marriage, 12th house, where you go to bed with your partner and you have that union. So, and it's also aspect in the 7th house and 4th house, so it just means that everything to do with home is always disturbed. There's always like a delay in the home things, because now I have to do work, or I have to go away with my work. This is another thing. They might also be working behind the scenes too, and so it is, you have to really work at finding that peace and rejuvenating yourself, rejuvenating your mind. Otherwise your family and your family life and your relationship will suffer. With their job, they could definitely work, travel, because obviously the aspect is, the 3rd house aspect is 12th house, and also aspect in 7th house, which is again a house of travel. And it does show that the whole family, dad, mum, and spouse, they're all of them are very much like involved in the community, want to do the right thing. The jobs, Saturn doesn't really rule any particular job. It can be like manual work. It could be to do with, it rules kind of earth, that kind of thing, government, because Capricorn. So you have to see the sign and aspects, and I always look at second houses from Saturn to see what careers it gives you. So the actual conjunctions and second houses from Saturn is a better idea about what sort of job you will do. I think I've got a video about that. I'll try and find a link and put that in. But generally speaking, though, it could be any form of job, and also because depending on the sign, how friendly and unfriendly it is, like if it is in sign of Sun, Leo, so it's going to be quite difficult for Saturn. It's going to have all these difficulties in the sense that it's got to deal with all these restrictive, difficult politicians, CEOs, leaders, and things like that. And it's not really necessarily what he wants to do, because Saturn is always about the blue collar, and now it's in a sign of white collar people. So I would, in terms of what jobs, that's what I will do. I'll have a look at that kind of thing. But generally speaking, they could also work behind the scenes too, because of the 3rd aspect. And happiness, well, they really have to work at the happiness thing, because what's happening now, it's the fourth house is being aspected by a malefic. Really, Saturn is a malefic, and it shows you. So they can feel a lot of stress about delivering at work, delivering at home. You know, just having the balance is for them is difficult. So they have to really work on themselves. So if you have Saturn in the 10th house, and if your ascendant is weak or Venus is weak, then you want to really work on yourself. Just get your ascendant strong, get Venus strong, in order to just be able to have enjoyment, and then that will really impact and give you a really good relationship, long lasting, and something that you will enjoy. This person could also be working for prison service, because aspect, in particularly if there's Mars kind of thing going on, Mars sign or Mars's aspect or something, prison service, because it's 12th house. Hospitals, again, depending on the sign, because it is kind of behind the scenes secret. There could be secret things going on, even could be like secret lab stuff too. But generally speaking, they could also, through their work, they have to really work at neutralizing, if you like, any form of secret enemies at work. So this is like it can be quite challenging, but in the long run, because this is a planet that's got a lot of dignity, generally speaking, it's got a lot of good intentions, particularly if it's a good planet for you and if it is in good dignity. And just by doing the right thing for the community, for your families, for your married life, and children, you'll elevate this absolutely. So you don't want to have like a dry marriage and everything else. So it's nice to check in with the family, with the mum, with the spouse every now and then, just to see, you know, maybe you need a break, they need a break, they need a bit of family time, family fun. So booking the restaurant and that kind of thing will be great. So let's have a look at the ascendants now. Okay, let's do the ascendants. So here we go. For Aries ascendant, Saturn rules your 10th and 11th house. And when it's in the 10th house, so it's going to be in Capricorn, nice and strong. And there. So, and what will happen is the person's career will naturally elevate and give them massive success, because that's just the way Capricorn sign is, very upward looking. From there is going to be aspecting Cancer, and generally I think personally, when people have Saturn in Cancer with the moon, or aspecting Cancer or moon, it just makes a person very, very anxious, stressed, can give sort of anxiety. So in reality, it's you know, we can work on that in order to just realizing that the mind is, you know, is another muscle, and the more we're just aware of ourselves, the more we work on Venus, on self-love, the better it becomes. But generally speaking, it just means that they work really, really hard because they want to have that level of security, stability in their life. And they're anxious constantly about that access, which is like 10th and 4th house. This has just happened in the skies since Saturn has just moved out of Capricorn, gone into Aquarius in transit. So, you know, the whole world was really fearful. So it does create fear. So, and people end up working really, really hard, and they can really overlook what their heart's desire is, because 4th house is also your heart, the emotional heart. So it's by constantly working, you could actually, and just fearing things, there's nothing to fear. Just, you know, fear is something, the more we do, the more we think about fear, the more our vibrations become low. And then that way we don't really succeed at any of it. It's at work, you know, and because why would somebody, your boss, give you responsibility of more things if they know that you're always constantly fearing things, anxiety, and that kind of that will be shown in your public image. So it's very important to just like have that mind control, just realize it's okay, you know, everybody goes through ups and downs, and just don't let the fear get the better of you, because this can give you so much success. And also it's 11th house ruler of Aquarius aspect in 4th house. So it just means gain of property. And it's aspect in 12th house as well. So, behind the scenes, you'll be working at doing things at work. You might have some travel. You might have to deal with some foreign companies, foreign things. You might have to deal with some enemies, secret enemies at work. And but nonetheless, though, it will actually give you a lot of success because it's aspecting the 7th house, which is 10th from 10th. So the job could have something to do with legal jobs, being a judge, being in commercial, import exports work. You really have to work at the balance. I mean, anybody with this will have to work at the 4th and 10th house aspect, really, because in a sense, what it's doing is it's making Saturn work really, really hard, and the home life can suffer as a result. But the more you work at things, the better it becomes, because this is also aspecting the 12th house of expenses and losses. So if you have something wrong with your car, go and get it sorted straight away. And also in your home, if you have a roof tile that's loose or something, get it fixed, because then what will happen if you don't look after things and just like overlook them because you're busy at work, then what will happen? You'll have more expenses. So all the things that you gain, which is also Saturn rules your 11th house of gains, will be wasted because you did not put the house in order, if you like. So you have to give your home life, your mum, your own happiness, a lot of kind of attention, and also your partner. Your partner could be quite up and coming person too, and together you could be quite powerful couple, really. So let's might sneeze. Oh damn, excuse me if I do. Right, for Taurus ascendant. For Taurus ascendant, this is your Yoga Karaka planet, Saturn. Rules 9th and 10th house, is in the 10th house. It's massive Mahapurush yoga. Raj yoga is of the highest standard. It's also what's happening is from those aspects in the 4th house, and you can see that the nature of the mom and home environment is quite regal almost. These people have got like this family who have got their image is very important to them, because this is now connecting the Aquarius and Leo. So the status of the family, the mum and dad, is really important. They've probably got a beautiful home, like almost like a palatial place. And but the mum can be a little bit like wearing on them. You always feel as though have got to be I'm not good enough for the family, that sort of stuff. And obviously aspect in the 7th house, which will be a flavor of the partner, or also flavor of work, because this 10th house is from 10th. So you see that there could be some level of secret things going on in their job, and something about their partner. Maybe their partner, they met them and they were secretly seeing each other before they got married. Maybe it was a secret affair, because it's the natural 8th house of the zodiac. And but also, if it's like you got to look, because it could kind of be like it's also Scorpio is some form of like it can deal with secret service, secret communities, and spies are ruled by Scorpio. So the form of jobs that they do could be quite secretive, because by the 3rd aspect, Saturn is aspect in the 12th house, which is where Saturn is debilitated. So they could deal with some like criminals in their job. They could be stashing people's taxes for them. There could be some level of something going on at work, which is like, or it could be astrology, the occults, that kind of thing, and they have psychic abilities. But obviously Saturn is debilitated, and this is aspecting Mars's sign, so you have to really see Mars's dignity and the also dignity of the 1st house ruler and the 1st house, and also Jupiter in this, just to make sure all is, but yeah, it could have some form of There could be, because of sort of illegal things going on, there could be some imprisonment, that, or dealing with people who are, you know, prisoners. Or I'm not saying all prisoners are bad. Sometimes they've fallen into the trap of the legal system, which is not always for the poor men, you know, they're blue collars. But generally speaking, there is something secretive about the partnership, about work, that kind of thing. Obviously, Saturn is sitting in own sign of 10th house, so that will be good. But it stops the person having you know, peaceful sleep, rejuvenation time. They always thinking about work. There's elements of that's unsettling for them. But otherwise, good, because it just gives you that status for sure. Then for the next ascendant, so Gemini ascendants, this will be, Saturn is your 8th and 9th house ruler, now in the 10th house. So for you, Saturn will be sitting in Pisces. Pisces is the natural 12th house of the zodiac, so you know that there could be some losses. There is also 8th house ruler sitting in the 10th house. So the job could chop and change. There could be secret elements to the job. There could be that they are doing secret negotiations, criminal lawyers, criminal things could be in this. You know, there could be. So from this 8th house ruler also aspect in the 12th house. So there is definitely things about the some level of secret going on there. And obviously, you know, for you, it's 8th and 9th house ruler. It's the 9th house ruler now aspect in the 4th house. So in that sense, it's really good, because it gives you a nice Raj Yoga, strong Raj Yoga too. And from there also, but you know, the jobs, it could also be a medic too for this. Just because Pisces rules science, labs, lab technicians, scientists, that kind of thing. Again, there could be some level of secrets about some things that they do, maybe not completely above board for that. And they could also be working with chronic disease, accidents and emergencies in hospitals. And obviously from those aspect in the 7th house, which is Sagittarius being, you know, as Saturn actually does pretty well in Pisces, but it's they could be, you know, their jobs could be quite changeable. So this is why I think they could be in rescue, that form of job. Also, you know, this is now 9th house ruler aspect in the 7th house, which is nice, because, you know, they can commit to the work. There could also be legal work too, and or teaching even. And obviously, it's, although it's rules 8th house, then it's not going to spoil any of the yoga. So it's like going to be the 9th house ruler aspect in the 4th house and 9th house ruler aspect in 7th house. So it creates two really good Raj yogas for you. Now for Cancer ascendant, Saturn rules 7th and 8th house. When it's in the 10th house, Saturn will be debilitated in Aries. So this obviously 7th and 8th house ruler, this could be like against certain things that are a bit like secret. The job itself, it could definitely be that there's some secret dealings going on with the work. It will probably take you a while to actually really get established in your career. It'd be because when Saturn is in Aries, it always sees the lack, doesn't see the bigger picture of terms of, if I put the hard work in. They always like they are a bit shy of hard work. They're a little, can make Saturn quite lazy. However, you know, you can give them a really nice, because it's aspect in the 4th house, and you know that the mom is quite a sociable, hardworking, you know, they try to get on with other people, quite harmonious and diplomatic mother. So the home life, they do much prefer to be more concentrating at home than at work. I think the work stresses them out more. but they see their mom as strict, but really, you know, the mom has probably got their back. And they could have a really nice home too, which is like feels quite cozy to other people who come and visit. Then from there, obviously, Saturn is aspecting seventh house, so it's protecting the marriage, because you know, they're going to be with somebody who's quite upward, quite a successful person, quite a maybe does a government job. They could also do government jobs, and also, obviously, from there is aspect in the 12th house, which is going to be like Gemini. So there could be some secret kind of job going on, which is to do with, there could be like, you know, like intel, where they actually monitor people's conversations, because it's Gemini, you know, communications. There could also be hackers, because also, you know, Saturn is debilitated. So there's something going on about work. They could work behind the scenes also, you know, in labs and things too. But generally speaking, there will be like, yeah, I'm a bit uncomfortable with this until Saturn matures. I'll probably get better after Saturn return. So for Leo Ascendant, Saturn rules 6th and 7th house. When it's in the 10th house, Saturn is going to be in Taurus. So Saturn will be comfortable there. The jobs that they do probably could be to do with teaching, travel work, farming, food industries, that sort of job. It's also aspect in the 4th house. There's something secret about mum. Mum could have chronic disease. They're quite private about their home life. They don't want people to, you know, there is some form of family secret going on there. And they really got to look after their car as well, because obviously what's happening here is their 4th house is just, you know, so you want to look after your car, make sure it's serviced properly, so it's not constantly breaking down and creating debts for you, because obviously Saturn also rules the 6th house. There could be obviously an issue there with divorce, or their job could be to do with litigations, helping people with debts. Or they could, you know, there could be that there's a lot of they're dealing with, like, you know, those people who work at help desks, and they're constantly dealing with people's like unhappiness, like, I bought this product and it didn't work. So they're always dealing with discord and disharmony, that kind of thing, which is probably going to write off a lot of karmas for them. So, but yeah, you can see that the job and all of that could be of service to the others. Obviously, law and litigations, debts, they could be dealing with that sort of jobs too. And they could possibly go through a divorce or issues with, you know, with mom at home. There could be like a bit of arguments and things going on at home. So they have to really work at making sure they keep everything, you know, a good balance between home life, work, and having a relationship, if they want to have a relationship. And their 12th house is going to be Cancer. So really the key to having a successful life will be for them to just take time out, go overseas, have a holiday. And but remember that part of Cancer is also to do with toxins and poisons in Cancer, which is Ashlesha. So they could also be working on poisonous stuff, you know, so which is to do, yeah, with healthcare, maybe hospitals and things like that. So now for the next one. So if we go, I haven't actually moved the ascendants. Don't know what I've done there, but anyway, let's do hours. Virgo Ascendant. For you guys, Saturn in the 10th house will be Saturn in Mercury sign Gemini. So you know that this is going to be something to do with tech, with communication. It could even be travel, because it's a natural, you know, there's that kind of thing. And it's from there is aspecting the fourth house, which is going to be Sagittarius. So, the mum is quite religious, home environment is quite religious, quite, these are people who are they're quite travel, educated people. Mum is educated. And Saturn is obviously in friendly sign there, so it's fine. It's actually rules 5th and 6th house ruler in the 10th house. So they could be in education, they could be teaching people skills, they could be working with teenagers and in the education system, all about learning, teaching, being a professor or a teacher of some form, writing books maybe even. And obviously Saturn rules 6th house. They could also, 6th house could be service jobs, nursing, doctors, medics, that kind of thing. But, having children can actually give them, they are of service to children, younger people, and education. Education is very important to these people, but education could give them debts. But they could also obviously... they could work behind the scenes. So they could also be teaching people who are actually in prison maybe, and they want to learn education. That could be a really nice way to burn up some of their karmas. So this is going to be health of, you've got to be aware of the health of the children. So they could definitely be in healthcare, because 6th house is now aspect in 6th house and 12th house are actually involved in this. So there's in service, behind the scenes, working for maybe even like a charitable company, something like that, to do service for younger people. Then for Libra Ascendant, for you, Saturn in the 10th house will be Saturn in Cancer, which is going to be a little bit difficult in the sense that Saturn is now sitting in the 10th house. The job could be something to do with things to do with cancer. So it could be like midwifery, nursing, travel, working with in medical world. For you, Saturn rules 4th and 5th house. So it's a very, very important planet, rules an angle and the trine as well in the 10th house. So that it's going to give you much of an elevation in work. It's aspect in the 4th house. So the mother is going to be quite of high status, working for the government. The whole family could be working for the government actually. As well, and 5th house ruler as well, so they could be educators too, teachers, professors, high status. Saturn in Cancer gives high status, and from there is also aspect in the 7th house too, which is going to be like the debilitation sign for Saturn. So that there's going to be some issues to do with partnerships there, generally speaking, not easy for them, marriage and also the marriage and partnerships in business. However, it is also 5th house ruler aspect in the 7th house, so it does give a Raja Yoga, and that also children could give them debts as well, give them expenses. They have to look after the children's health because it's aspect in the 12th house. But there will be some expenses, some losses. There's going to be something secret about their job for sure. And then I'll be really careful about like investing money as well for that, stock exchange, that sort of thing. Investments, be careful, because 5th house rule is aspect in the 12th house, so there could be losses in that department. Then for Scorpio Ascendant, this is going to be Saturn rules 3rd and 4th house. When it goes into the 10th house, Saturn will be in Leo, so that this is going to be a politician, work for the government, work for leaders, not very comfortable in at all, and they have to deal with a lot of people with lots of ego, and so they'll be working really, really hard, and home life could be suffering as a result because Saturn is not really comfortable there. But it is aspecting the fourth house and protecting, so they probably will have nice home. But they could also be moving quite a lot because their job creates that situation. They're constantly moving, but they'll have a nice home, and for sure. And they also, Saturn is aspecting seventh house, so it's Saturn aspecting Taurus. So their partner could be quite a Venusian person, and could also be in. It shows a little bit. There could also be something to do with farming, farmland, or vegetations, generally speaking, and also aspecting the 12th house, which is aspecting Libra. So this is quite nice in the sense that Saturn is aspecting houses that are actually comfortable, apart from where it's sitting. But it's actually the more they work, they put effort into it, the more pleasure they will get. And they might go away to faraway lands and with their job, and that they will enjoy that. That will be really nice for their home life. So they could actually have a home abroad or live abroad because their job. But definitely gives them really nice enjoyment. This is probably one place that it's not going to be so bad about they can find that balance in actually rejuvenation and meditation, all of that, so they can actually have peaceful sleep. Then for Sagittarius Ascendant, this is going to be second and third house ruler. When he goes in the 10th house, will be Saturn in Virgo. So the work is, because it's sixth house of natural zodiac, the work is to do with service to the others, could be about the medical world, could be about litigations. There could be in work they have to do a lot of communications, maybe even monies are involved too. And but definitely you can see from the 10th house, the 10th house could be a lot of things to do with Virgo, service, jobs, healing, nutrition, that kind of thing. And there could also be food, because the second house ruler is well in the 10th house. And from there, it's also aspect in the 12th house. So, they definitely work really, really hard, because Virgo is hardworking too, very practical. And it's a 12th house aspect will be a secret house. It will be so they could have quite a lot of secret dealings, secret enemies, that kind of thing, something secret going on. Even the communications could be a little bit secretive too. Aspect in the 4th house, which is going to be aspect in Pisces. So that they could have a home abroad, because this is the natural 12th house of the zodiac, and they really got to make sure they look after their home, because this is also natural 12th house of the zodiac. So you can create, if you don't look after your home, you could have massive expenses and losses through that. So deal with any repairs your car or your home can do. Look after your mum as well, because this is also, again, 12th house of hospitalization. And just be aware of that. To just be happy, you need to look after things to do with home. So having a really good balance between the 10th house and 4th house. And this is also, because it's a practical house, Saturn could also compartmentalize things, so be able to just really use their intellect to see the bigger picture, and seeing that spending time at home with family is going to be very important. And they're investing in themselves and in their work and in their married life, by just being aware of that aspect. In obviously 10th house, so it protects the 10th house, so it could be very much to do with it's aspect in the 7th house as well. So this is going to be Gemini. So they really, in order to keep the business going, they need to have good communications at work, good communications with their partner, to keep that axis of 4th and 10th house looking good. And obviously for Capricorn Ascendant, this is going to be 1st and 2nd house ruler. When he goes in the 10th house, Saturn will be exalted in Libra. This is going to be quite nice. So this is nice Raja Yoga, and also it's from there. It's going to be aspecting the first house, so it protects the first house. So it'll be second house ruler aspect in the first. They can create their own wealth, and so you can see from there it's going to be aspecting debilitation sign, but it's an exalted sign, Saturn aspect in the fourth house. So although home life could have been difficult at early years, and they could like lose a home, or just be, you know, like at times they could even been like hardship and be homeless, but they, through hard work and just getting on with people, seeing the bigger picture and everything else, they work on that and they achieve quite a lot and create a lot of happiness in that axis. They obviously got to look after their mum too, look after family health, and this aspect in the 12th house, which is going to be Sagittarius. So you know that the work is they could be teaching prisoners at, you know, or teaching abroad, becoming like a, you know, or a judge or lawyer or teacher or educator abroad. And obviously it's going to be protecting the first house, as I said, and it's because it's also first house ruler aspect in the 7th house, the 4th house. It's quite nice Raj Yogas there. So through sheer hard work and determination, they get there, and they'll really quite enjoy their job as well, despite the hard work. And they will travel, will really give them the help, mental help, you know, that one needs to just have clarity about work and achievements at work. But they can work with people really well, and they can create a really harmonious work. They could also, as I said, they could be a really good lawyer too. And then for Aquarius, I know when I actually start doing this after a while, I get really tired. So sorry if I'm just like I'm in quite a lot. So this is like 12th and first house ruler. When he goes in the 10th house, Saturn will be in Scorpio. So nature of the job, secretive, secret service, secret. There could be emergency work in hospitals, work with prisoners, prison service, secret dealings, secret taxes, all those sort of things can be the theme of the job. Third aspect from there is going to be 12th house. So the 12th house is going to be Capricorn. So it actually really protects the 12th house. So although they might, you know, create some addictions and things like that, they can be quite triumphant by just getting the help. Work will really help elevate them, getting this research to do to actually like help them elevate at work, elevate themselves. But they could go through some difficulties and things, but they will be triumphant because of that, because they just you know, Saturn's aspect is going to be really good because obviously aspects Capricorn. There could be a lot of secrets about themselves. They could have obviously secret enemies at work. They could also be like security service, tax. They could do jobs like insurance, or even work with like as a mortician, that kind of thing. From there, obviously, Saturn is aspecting the 7th house, Taurus, so they attract really nice family oriented wives and other you know, significant others. From there is aspect in the 4th house. Oh, apologies. So, you know, the mum and the family situation is lovely. The mother is quite a homemaker, lovely foods, traditional foods. And they also reminisce about that kind of thing. My mum used to make me this, you know, nobody makes it like mum. And those sort of family traditions and things really, really good. So they actually got a good balance there, in the sense that although they work, they're kind of aware of mum and home, family life is important. Then also, obviously, from there is also aspect in the 7th house, Leo. So their partner could be quite high status, come from quite privileged background. and they probably in their job deal with politicians and their leaders and things, and they could be, that's the difficulty that they have to deal with, but it raises their status because obviously it's aspecting Capricorn, and Capricorn aspect is going to elevate Saturn because it rules it. So although the job that they do could be for politicians or high achievers, and certain elements of it will be secret. Quite a lot of it will be secret. So now Pisces Ascendant. Pisces Ascendant for you, 11th and 12th house ruler going in the 10th house will be Saturn in Sagittarius. So the job definitely deals with secret things. Could be working in hospitals, could be working behind the scenes in labs, prisons, that kind of thing. It also protects the 12th house, so protects all the expenses, losses and things like that, but nonetheless there's still 12th house. And then Saturn is also aspecting what would be the 4th house, Gemini, so communications with family, with mum, all of that kind of stuff is key to keeping that axis really healthy. Also aspecting the 7th house, aspecting Virgo, so the wife could also be like, you need to look after the health of the wife, really, because it's natural 6th house of the zodiac. But generally speaking, the wife, the partner could also be in the service work, education. Both of them can be in education, teaching, that kind of thing. That's it from me. A long video again. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.